Okay, so it's 10:05. I think we'll go ahead and start the meeting. So Rob, if you want to open up, go ahead, pal.
Yeah, great. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for attending this year's AGM. Obviously, you can see it's a bit different from what we've done before. This is our very first virtual AGM. You're going to find that the presentation, the session will generally go as it's gone before. Before we get started, though, I did want to go over some housekeeping rules and some sort of idea of what you can expect through the presentation today, because it is different for us all. First of all, you'll notice that everybody's mics and videos, et cetera, were all set to mute. So the only people that you will hear or that has the ability to speak will be the presenters. We are going to be asking for adoptions of the motions, the agenda, et cetera. We're going to be doing that this year via the chat button. Now, it's interesting, I've seen quite a few chats, so I think most people know how to use it. But if you don't, if you move your cursor at any time on your screen, a toolbar at the bottom will open up and you will see the chat button right in the middle. You're only going to be able to chat with the presenter. So if you have any questions, you can use that. But I'll remind everybody when we're looking for a mover or seconder for a motion, and all we ask is that you type in move, second, and then if we ask for anybody who's all opposed, you can actually write it in there as well too. When it comes to the actual vote, for much further down into the presentation for the bylaw number 1, we've made it simple for you. You'll actually see a pop-up on your screen that will ask you to vote in favor or against moving the number of directors from 7 to 5. And it's that simple. You'll get a pop-up, you'll hit yes or no, and as soon as we get enough, we need 20 and 2/3 of that 20 to get the vote to pass. That we will show the polling results and everybody will be able to see fairly instantaneously what's happened. I will ask, we've got some of our great partners on the line with us today as well too, that you're not able to vote because you need to be a member. So please, for the partners, refrain from voting. If by chance you do, by mistake, those votes will be removed from the count. At any point, if you have a question for us, for the panelist or the host, that will be managed again through the chat. Move the cursor, hit the chat button, and just ask the question. We'll try to answer all the questions we can during the session, but if for any reason we can't because we run out of the allotted time, we'll follow up with a response and we'll post it on our website. Do want to remind everybody today that this meeting, including all the Q&A, the chat, is going to be recorded, so that will be posted on our website and our social media sites afterwards. Also, please don't share the link with anybody because the link is very personal. It's just for you. It's a way for us to identify that you've logged on and you've registered and that you've attended the AGM. If you haven't done so already, you can go to our website, momentumcu.ca, and download the 2019 AGM documents, including the audit results, financial statements. And again, as we move through the session today, I'll remind everybody when there's going to be a vote or a move, when we need to use the chat button. At this point, I'd ask the host to lock the room so that nobody else can enter, and that we have a captive audience, if you will. And now that we're going to move through this, I'm going to ask for the page to move on to next, and let's open it up. Dave, go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Rob. So yeah, I'm gonna try not to go through the same thing that Rob went through, but these are certainly trying times, and I want to certainly thank everybody for taking the time out to join us for our first ever WebEx AGM. It's certainly trying times with what we've been going through for the last 3-4 months, not only in Canada, but around the world. I'm hoping that nobody's been caught up in this ugly pandemic that's going around. But as we hear from everything that's happening on a day-to-day, it's certainly touching a lot of lives of people all around the world. So please, let's just try and work through this. Let's be patient if we can. I usually, as I said, it's all new to everybody. So I think if we just take our time and go through slowly, we'll be able to achieve what we need to today. So first of all, I'd like to call the meeting to order, and I just wanted to make a couple of announcements, really, more so than anything. First of all, I wanted to introduce the people that we've got online. I think everybody knows that was our CEO, Rob Kirby, that went over the housekeeping rules, just to kind of give everybody a little bit of background to how we're going to try and run things today. Obviously, I'm Dave Thomas. I'm the chair of the board of directors for MCU. On the line, we have Sean Power is the chair of the Audit and Risk Committee. We have our directors, Bill Jones is on the line, Nadia Anton Collins is on the line, and of course, Gail Lubin Powers is on the line. Also with us from the management side, we have Markel Pellington. He's our IT guy. We have Will Loftman, who's our corporate secretary. We have Evan. I'm sorry, why am I Evan's name? His last name's drawing a blank on me. Sorry about that. But Evan is our VP of Credit and Finance. He's on the line. And Dawn Blackborough is on the line as well. She's our VP of HR. I don't think I've missed anybody there, Rob, from a management standpoint. So again, I just want to welcome everybody, and I want to again thank everybody for taking the time out. As I can see, the sun is shining outside, so it's a beautiful day. So we'll try and run through our reports as quickly as we can. With that, I think we'll go ahead with the agenda. I think everybody can see the agenda that's up on the screen. So I'm going to ask for a mover and a seconder on today's agenda. So moved by William O'Neill. Seconded by Nadia Anton Collins. So I'll go ahead and call the question. All in favor of the agenda? Okay, and then I'll go down. Opposed, if any? Okay, and we'll say that it's carried. Okay, so we'll move ahead to number 3 on the agenda, and that's the registration report. Can we get a report, maybe Markel, on the number of people that we've got, please?
Yeah, this is Rob. We'll be able to share the report of actually who's attended, but we've got 35 participants as it stands.
Yeah, so I see that now. So we've got 35 participants. Can I get a mover and a seconder on the registration report, please? Moved by Dawn Blackborough. A seconder, please. Seconder is Markel Pellington. So I'll go ahead and call the question. All in favor of the registration report? Pretty straightforward, guys. Down. Opposed, if any, is carried. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, so again, in these trying times, I know when we put out our package to all of the members of Momentum Credit Union, in that package was obviously the minutes of the last AGM. So I'm going to ask for a mover and a seconder. I'm hoping everybody's had a chance to read them. So I'm going to have ask for a mover and a seconder to approve the minutes of the last AGM. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Gail Lubin Powers. Seconded by Nadia Anton Collins. So I'll go ahead and ask first of all if there's any business arising from the previous minutes. Okay, so I don't see any questions coming through for business arising from the previous minutes, so I'll go ahead and call the question. All in favor to approve? Opposed, if any? Okay, the minutes are carried. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'm going to give my my report, the report of the chair here. Just bear with me for a sec. I've got a whole bunch of computers trying to put everything into perspective. So on behalf of the chair of board of directors, it is my pleasure to welcome you to our 10th annual general meeting of Momentum Credit Union and give my fourth report as the chair of the board. 2000 was another year of challenge and change for MCU. As the board chair and with the help of the directors, we onboarded our new CEO, Mr. Robert Kirby, in late January of 2019. Under Mr. Kirby's leadership and direction, MCU had a successful and profitable year while identifying the changes necessary to sustain our direction with a focus on our membership. I would like to thank all staff and management for their welcoming of Rob into our fold. It is these great people that provide the products and services that our members need to live their busy lives. Their continued commitment to delivering the best possible service levels are critical to our long-term success. They deliver the experiences that you rely on, both face-to-face, online, over the phone, and behind the scenes every day, and we are grateful for their dedication, care, and passion for the membership. The board's oversight role is undertaken through its work and the work of its Audit and Risk Committee. The board takes its duties very seriously and is responsible for approval of annual business plans and budgets, as well as monitoring of the deliverables and risks that are being taken in support of these plans. I would like to thank the board of directors for their support of me as the board chair in my fourth year in that role. They are a dedicated and talented team, and their commitment to the credit union is at the forefront of everything that we do and every decision that we make. Finally, I would like to thank the membership for their ongoing support and patronage of the credit union. We know you have plenty of choices available when it comes to your day-to-day banking needs, and we appreciate your dedication to Momentum Credit Union. You can continue to count on us for simple solutions and service. Thank you very much. So with that, I'll go ahead and ask for a mover and supporter to adopt the report, please. Moved by Don Blackborough and supported by Catherine Wright. So I'll go ahead and ask, is there any questions on the chair's report?
Just a reminder to everybody, if you have a question, use the chat button. Move the cursor, the chat button, and then ask the question.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and call the question then. All in favor? Down opposed, if any? All right, we'll call it carried then. Next slide, please, Markel. Or Adam, I'm not sure who's working the cursor. So our next order of business is the report from the CEO, Rob Kirby. Go ahead, Rob.
Thanks, Dave. Again, welcome everybody to our very first virtual AGM for 2020. 2019 was a year for me as your new CEO, and one where I was tasked at looking at all the processes, the technology, procedures, and to really take stock and fully understand what we have and what we need. What I found was that we had a lot of great things going for us, and we also had a number of items or projects we needed to work on to steady the ship or stabilize the credit union, if you will. Myself and the management team with the board of directors spent most of 2019 looking at what we did and how we did it and understand the impact of the credit union and the membership. We did make some quick changes throughout 2019 on the processes, such as reduction of banking fees to have them more in line with the industry standards, and listening to our membership. I did spend a little bit of time out there on the road talking to some members in 2019, and that was the #1 item. So we did take care of that, as well as some technology changes, mostly to the banking system to make it faster and more secure for us to bank online. In the early part of 2020, we were looking to develop our strategies and stabilize the credit union and start the wheels turning on our sustainable growth model, as well as procedural efficiencies and profitability. Then something called COVID-19 lockdown happened. I do remember it well. I was on holidays in late February, the last week of February, first week of March. I was over in the UK, and they were just talking then about people coming back from Italy off their winter break. And that's when it all started to break loose in Europe and the UK. And then it really engulfed over there and skipped over the pond to us here. It happened so quickly. And as a result, we've had to put some of our plans on hold. And as a result of the COVID-19, had to make some changes to our credit union to ensure we made the health and safety of our staff and the membership a priority. Early on in March, we did close down the King Street location. We reduced the hours at Upper James and the Solution Center, and ultimately we closed Oakville and Brampton to reduced hours and by appointment only. We are now happy to see some of the province opening up again, including some of our workers we support, and as such we have opened our Oakville branch back to open to the membership, general membership, on reduced hours, 11 to 4, to mirror Upper James. The other locations are still closed to the general membership, with Brampton still open for appointments only. If you're wondering what's open and closed or when things will change, please just stay tuned to our website or call our Solution Center. Or even better yet, if you subscribe and send us your email address, we'll make sure that we send our email blast out so everybody's kept abreast on what's going on. As mentioned, some of our projects had to be put on hold, but others had moved along, including some technology advances. We also worked hard with our partners in government agencies to get emergency actions in place, such as the direct deposit for CERB, for those people who unfortunately were out of work, and the CEBA loans for our commercial members. Those were the $40,000 loans, and other quick fix items in an effort to improve and expand your abilities to bank virtually. We're also working with our providers and partners to improve your experiences with our website and online mobile banking. Although many of these aren't really scheduled to be working until later this year, some of the quick hit items to further enhance your online experience include Deposit Anywhere. This is a function that allows you to take a picture of your check or your deposit and from the comfort and the safety of your home. The idea is to enhance your experience, not replace them. So if you're still comfortable making your way to the branch, you can, all the while knowing that we've taken the appropriate steps to safekeep your health and the health of our staff. You'll see a few changes in our branch, including social distancing measures, sanitation stations, staff wearing masks, gloves, plexiglass separating the members from the staff. So we've taken a lot of steps to make sure that we can keep everybody safe. I know this is all new and strange, but we'll continue to monitor the situation and take recommendations and guidance from the government officials and your board of directors. In closing, I'd like to thank all the membership for their patronage, loyalty, especially through these unprecedented times. As Dave said, it's some crazy times. I also want to thank our board of directors for their direction and support all year, but especially through this COVID-19 restrictions. But I really want to especially like to thank the staff for their unbelievable loyalty and their perseverance to continue to serve the membership, both now and in the future. So a big thanks to the staff. We do have the means and the strength, both as a credit union and as a credit union family, to weather the storm. So we will get through this together. Thanks, and stay safe.
Okay, thanks, Rob. I'm going to go ahead then and ask for a mover and a seconder on the CEO's report, please. Moved by Markel, seconded by Gail. I'm just wondering if there's any questions out there for Rob. We'll give it a minute here if somebody wants to try and type in a question. So I see, Rob, that a question did come in. Maybe we should deal with that. I know Will has responded that maybe we'll deal with it at the end of the meeting, but we've got a question from one of the members asking when MCU, when we're thinking of returning to normal operations.
Yeah, I see that. Thanks, Dave. So we are still paying attention to not only government officials, but the health and safety officials as well too. And we're taking some information and we're analyzing it with the board of directors to really understand when can we go back to full operations. So unfortunately, I don't have an answer right now, but we are looking at that. You know, it was only as recent as yesterday that the Ontario government extended the emergency operations to June 19th. So it is fluid. I know everybody would like an answer on specifically when. All I can say is that as soon as possible, where it's safe and the right thing to do for the staff and the membership, and management will work with the board of directors to come up with that time. We also have another question, Dave, when we're going to be implementing the ability to deposit a check via mobile banking.
Yeah, I see it there. Do you want to deal with that? Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, I'm going to have to actually ask Markel if you want to just chat and let me know, but I know that we're working on that now and we're very close to it. Do we have
maybe Rob, sorry to cut you off. Maybe we should read the whole question because I'm not sure if the members can see that, right?
Oh, right, of course. So the question was, when will we be implementing the ability to deposit checks via mobile banking immediately as opposed to in the future, since we could use it now during COVID?
So Rob, if I may answer that question very quickly.
Yes, please.
We're actually in the process of implementing it now. So we're in the testing phase. So pretty soon that should be available to all our members. So if I could hazard a guess, in another couple of weeks, we should be online with that service.
Thank you, Marco.
No problem.
Okay, so I'm going to go and ahead and ask, is there any other questions for Rob? Okay, great questions. Thanks very much. So I'm going to go ahead then and call the question. All in favor to adopt the report of the CEO? All in favor? And then I'm going to go ahead and ask if there's any opposed. Okay, so we'll call that carried. Next slide, please. Okay, so next is going to be the report of the loan officer, and that's Mr. Evan Rudd. Sorry, Evan, I forgot your last name before. It just came to me.
Thanks, Dave.
Go ahead, pal.
Yeah, great. I think we just need to go to the next slide. Great. Okay, so this is a summary of the loan action for 2019. The loans advanced throughout 2019 totaled 210, a value advanced of 23.68 million. Loans declined 31 for about 3.5 million. The number of delinquent loans outstanding at the end of 2019 were 29 loans for a total of 2.6 million. Now, the next slide is loans to members outstanding. No, I'm sorry. That's can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, previous. No, I'm sorry. We'll have to go back to the 2 slides back. So this is the second table. What you'll see is the breakdown of the loans that were advanced to members. So of those 210, you'll see that 132 of those were personal loans for a total of 3.1 million. 67 residential mortgages, including mortgages and home equity lines of credit, 67 for a total of 15.87 million, and commercial loans, 11 for a total of 4.7 million. And that concludes the loan officer report.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder on the loan officer's report? Moved by Gail Lubin Powers, supported by William O'Neill. I'm going to go ahead and ask if there's any questions on the loan officer's report. Numbers are pretty straightforward. So I'll go ahead and call the question then. All in favor of the loan officer's report? Down, opposed, if any? Okay, we'll call it carried. Next slide, please. So next we're going to go on with the financial statement. And again, once again, Mr. Evan Rudd.
Okay, thanks. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so we're going to start with this. These are all summary statements, and we're going to start with the financial position. I'm going to go through line by line, and again, I encourage everyone to go online and see our full financial statements. They'll be made available. So as of the end of December 31st, 2019, we had cash and interest bearing deposits of 13.94 million, investments 17.37 million, derivatives of 22,900, total loans to members at the end of 2019, 160,769,000, accounts receivable standing at 120,000, prepaid expenses of 68,000, income taxes recoverable 0, property, equipment, and right of use assets 4,051,000, intangible assets including items such as our banking system 294,000, deferred income taxes totaling 237,000, and for a defined benefit plan, net asset position of 94,000. So as you can see at the end of the year, total assets of 196,974,000. And we can move on to the second half of the financial position. Next slide. So at the end of 2019, the credit union had $0 in borrowings. Those were all repaid at the end of April 2019, and no drawdowns for the rest of the year. Member deposits at the end of the year totaling 184,718,000. Accounts payable and other accrued liabilities outstanding at the end of the year 517,000. Lease liability of 422,000. This is a new measurement with IFRS 9 to record any of our leases over a certain dollar value as an asset and liability. So that's new this year. Derivatives outstanding 22,900. And the obligation for post-retirement benefits, which was assessed at the end of December 2019, of 1.359 million. And finally, the shares outstanding. This is the liability portion of shares outstanding at the end of the year, 363,000. Total liabilities at the end of the year, 187,404,000. Okay. Now into the members' equity portion. There's shares outstanding. This is the equity portion of shares now. 2.9 million. Retained earnings, 5,257,000. Accumulated other comprehensive income, negative 653,000. And contributed surplus, 2.065 million. So as you can see, the total members' equity at the end of the year of 9,570,000. And again, the total liabilities and members' equity of 196,974,000. Thanks. We can move on now to the income statement. Great. And again, guys, please see our financial statements online for the full audit results. We'll start off the interest revenue for the year of 7,091,000. The interest expense for the year was 3,191,000, giving us an interest margin of 3,900,000. Now, plus other income of 795,000 gives us a total income before operating expenses of $4,696,000. Okay, now I'm going to go into the operating expenses and we'll go line by line. The employee salaries and benefits, $2,001,000. Data processing, $434,000. Administration, $822,000. Insurance, $279,000. Collection and bad debts of $138,000. Occupancy of $247,000. Staff and director expenses of $145,000. And depreciation and amortization of $279,000. Total operating expenses for the year of $4,349,000. And we can move on to the next slide. So this is continuing the income statement. What we're looking at now is after the operating expenses and income before income taxes of $347,000. Now with deferred income expense of $51,360, that gives us a net income for the year of $295,900. And into the other comprehensive income and loss section, there was just an actuarial loss of $13,000 on the defined benefit plan and post-retirement benefits. So the total comprehensive income for the year of 2019 was $282,911. And that should conclude the financial statements report.
Okay, thanks, Evan. Great job. I'll go ahead and ask for a mover and a seconder on the financial report, please. Moved by Markel, support by Don Blackborough. So we'll just take a second here and ask if anybody's got any questions for the financial report.
Just a quick reminder to everyone, move your cursor, hit the chat button if you've got a question, and then ask the panelists.
Okay, it doesn't look like anything's coming in. And just so everybody knows too, to the membership, if you do think of something while we're going here, you can certainly ask a question and we can deal with it. We can always backtrack and deal with it, or we can deal with it at the end of the reports. So I'm going to go ahead and ask the question. All in favor of the financial statements? And I'm going to ask is opposed, if any. Okay, we'll call it carried. Can we have the next slide, please? Okay, so next on the agenda is the report of the Audit and Risk Committee. The chair of the Audit and Risk Committee is Mr. Sean Power. Go ahead, Sean.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks very much. Momentum Credit Union Limited Audit and Risk Committee, or ARC, pursuant to Section 125 of the Credit Union and Cassis Populars Act 1994, meet not less than quarterly or as required. The ARC operates under the mandate that covers all of the duties and the regulations of the Act. For the year ended December 31, 2019, the committee met 11 times as the board restructured its meeting policies. As delegated by the Board of Directors and the Act, the ARC has primary responsibility for review of the audit financial statements, internal controls, accounting policies, and reporting procedures. The ARC has oversight of the Enterprise Risk Management Program and has primary contact with both the internal and external auditors. The ARC recommends to the Board of Directors that MMP LLP be appointed as the external auditors. Internal auditors for the financial year 2020 is PRA Group. Their remuneration is to be set by the Board of Directors. The ARC is not aware of any matters required to be disclosed pursuant to the Act and regulations. The ARC receives full cooperation from the new management of the credit union when conducting its business. There were no significant recommendations made by the ARC, the internal auditor, the external auditor, or the Financial Services Regulatory Authority of Ontario that have not been implemented or are not in the process of being implemented by management. That's the report. Thank you very much, Dave.
Thanks, Sean. So I'll ask for a mover and a seconder on the audit and risk report, please. Moved by Nadia Anton Collins, seconded by Gail Lubin Powers. So at this time, I'll go and ask if there's any questions or any discussion on the audit and risk report. Maybe I'll just add a little bit there. As you heard Sean say in his report, the Audit and Risk Committee is mandated to meet not less than once every 3 months, but due to the circumstances that we've been under, as Sean reported, we met 11 times last year. We just thought, you know, with the trying times that are happening and everything that's been going on, we've since increased as well, and we're actually meeting on a weekly basis now via WebEx to go over basically everything the business at hand with Momentum MCU. So I just wanted to point that out to the membership, just to let everybody know kind of what we've been dealing with in the last, certainly in the last couple of months, but the last the last little while as well. So that being said, I'm not seeing any questions coming in for Mr. Powers, so I'm going to go ahead and call the question. All in favor of the Report and Audit Risk Committee report? And I'll ask if there's anybody opposed. Okay, so we'll go ahead and call that carried. Next slide, please. Okay, so next up is the report of the independent auditor, and that's Mr. Jazz Shahal. He's with MNP. Go ahead, please, Jazz.
Good morning, guys. Hope you can hear me. My name is Jazz Chahal. I'm a partner with MNP, and I thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak at their AGM. I won't take up too much of your time. I only have a couple of minutes to say here, but what I wanted to do was just quickly talk you through the audit, very high level, in terms of what our responsibilities are, how the audit went, and our ultimate conclusion. So in the financial statements in your annual report, you'll see a copy of our auditor's report. It's a 2-page document. It will look pretty much identical to what you'll see last year. There's been no changes to the audit report. It's a very boilerplate report that's mandated to us. There isn't any real flexibility in the language that goes in there, other than when there's a qualification or another emphasis of matter type item. So I was pleased to say that the report is clean. It's an unqualified audit report. There were no exceptions to report. In making that conclusion, we did a fair bit of work this year. It's our first year as auditors, so we spent more time than we would in a regular year just to get up to speed and understand the systems and processes. The audit is a sample-based audit. We don't test everything. But we do test what we consider to be the risky areas, and the risky areas are typically the loans and the interest that's being recorded. So it is a sample-based audit, and we pick selections, and if there's any errors, we then extend our samples and extrapolate those errors. We did not find anything material, anything that warrants change to the financial statements. We do look at systems and processes and controls as well. As part of our audit, that's something we're required to do. And any control deficiencies or items of note would have been reported to management. But I believe there was nothing significant that would warrant any further conversation on those matters. So overall, it was a clean audit report. The audit report that we have is consistent with prior years, and really that's it, I think. And hopefully there will no new events or surprises this year versus in prior years. Evan did mention there was one new accounting standard with leases that came out, but that was it, and didn't have a material impact on the financial statements.
Okay, thanks, Jazz. So I'll go ahead and ask a question. Can I get a mover and a seconder for the report of the independent auditor, please? Moved by Markel Pellington. Seconder, please. Don Blackborough. Did anybody have any questions for Mr. Chahal? Okay, bearing none, I'm going to go ahead and call the question then. All in favor to adopt the report of the independent auditor? Down opposed, if any? Okay, so I'll go ahead and call that carried. Next slide, please. So the appointment of the auditors for next year. So on behalf of the MCU and the Board of Directors, I'd like to recommend that we again hire the services of MNP for next year's external audit. Could I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Will Loftman, seconded by William O'Neill. I'll go ahead and ask for any questions, please. Okay. So I'll go ahead and ask then, all in favor? Opposed, if any? Okay, we'll call that carried then. Next slide, please. So next on the agenda is the report of the nominating committee. Next slide, please. So go to the next slide, please. It's a vote for the resolution of bylaw number 1. Next slide, please. So I'm going to go ahead and read this bylaw or this resolution that we're putting forward to the membership. On May 13, 2020, the Board of Directors drafted a resolution to Momentum Credit Union Limited, Section 4.01 of Bylaw Number 1, to bring a vote to the 2020 Annual General Meeting dated June 7th, 2020. The resolution was drafted as follows. Resolution of the Board of Directors. It is resolved that this resolution is made in respect of Momentum Credit Union Limited, Section 4.01 of Bylaw Number 1, number of directors and quorum. Whereas the Board of Directors, known as the Board of Momentum Credit Union Limited, find it advantageous to reduce the number of directors from 7 to 5. Be it and is it therefore resolved that the board shall reduce the number of sitting directors from 7 to 5 effective immediately. So I'm going to go ahead and ask for a mover and a seconder.
Dave, sorry.
Yes.
This is where we're going to launch the poll, and we're going to
Yeah,
ask
I'm
everybody
sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. So we're going to launch a poll. So
So everyone, when I launch a poll, I'll be doing it momentarily, and everyone should just vote, and the results will be shared accordingly afterwards.
do we need, so let me ask you then, Markel, I think we need to open it for some questioning first before we launch the poll, correct?
Not necessarily, because the resolution is for whether or not they're going to be voting yes or no for the resolution. And they'll get the opportunity to do that like now. Or if you want to take questions before, that's okay as well. Just let me know when to launch the poll.
I think we should take a few questions because I just want to be as transparent as possible here. And I see there is a question that has come forward. from a couple of members. So I think, you know what, maybe we can answer a couple of questions if the members do have some questions, and then we can open it up for voting, right?
Okay, go right ahead. Just let me know when to open up the vote.
Okay, thanks, Markel. So I see I have a question here from one of the members. Why the need for reduction in board members? So I guess I can touch on this and say that as everybody knows, we have a relatively small membership. We've had lots of difficulty in the last few years trying to attract directors. So we actually this year we only had one person that actually applied to be the director of to be a director at MCU, and that was a returning board member. So I think the discussions that we've had between the people that we do have as directors right now, we're very, very satisfied with the expertise, competence level that we have on the board. So it just seems that every year, and this has been happening for the past 2 or 3 years, we've got a very, very difficult time attracting board members. So rather than bring people onto the board that bring relatively no experience, no expertise, we found that, or we think that if we reduce the number down to 5, we'll be able to maintain the expertise and experience that we need to move forward. So that's basically what it boils down to. I think with the 5 board members that we have, it's certainly increased the role of the 5 directors that are there. Our interaction has certainly, our time commitment has certainly been increased, but with the members that we have, I find, as I said, everybody seems up to the challenge, and that's why we're just moving this resolution. So I think that's the only question that I had come through. So as Rob explained in the early housekeeping, I'm going to ask Markel now to put the question up on the screen, and it's pretty straightforward. I think everybody will be able to figure it out relatively easy. So if you want to go ahead, Markel, and put that up on the screen, everybody can vote, please. So it's just pretty straightforward there, right? You just got to hit your response and submit it.
Just a quick note to the partners who are on the line with us, not to vote. And if you just go to the top right-hand corner of that poll and hit the X, you can get rid of it on your screen.
So we'll leave it open for about a minute, Markel, then we'll close it off, please.
Right, I'm just going to leave it open until I at least get, over 20 votes, I believe. So
okay,
probably another minute or so, and then we'll close it and share the results with the rest of the
great.
attendees. So I think we can now end the poll, because I haven't seen the number increase in the last 30 seconds. So I will end and share the results.
Well, let's just give everybody maybe just a little bit of an opportunity. I don't know how many votes you've got as compared to members we have online.
So I have about 70% of the votes so far.
So let's just give it another 20 seconds or so, Markel, please.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, Markel, I would close it off, please.
Okay, closing it now. I'm now going to share the results with the rest of the attendees.
Okay, great. Okay, so that resolution is carried.
That's correct.
Okay, so we'll go, please, next slide. Next on the agenda. So that's pretty much it for the meeting. As you can see, you know, we've always had a history of having somewhat of prize winners after the AGMs that we do every year. So we were able to figure out a way to do it. So obviously everybody that that logged on will be put into a bit of a pool, and we will certainly notify you if you're a winner into one of the prize draws. I'd like to go ahead and maybe thank the following sponsors for some of the donations to our local AGM, and that's Aviso, Central One, CCUA, Concentra, Credential, Cumus, Fiserv, Hunter, Interware, and Thinker. So with that, on a final note, I'd like to just take a minute and again, just thank the membership for everybody that had an opportunity to come on this morning. As I said, it's certainly something different, something I hope that we never have to do again. I hope you know, soon that everything will get back to some sort of normalcy in the province. It'd be great to certainly be able to see more of you on a face-to-face level. It's I'm sure everybody's finding it difficult in their own way to deal with this this pandemic that's going on. So all in all, I think it's been a pretty successful meeting. I want to thank our IT department, Markel and Adam. You've done a fantastic job. I think things went off pretty much without a hitch here. And again, as I said, we're just trying to make the best of the situation that we've all been put in. I think we need to go back. Will, were there a couple of questions that we needed to deal with before we end the meeting?
Hey, yeah, there's a couple on the Q&A tab.
Okay.
Can be accessed over on answered there. We got the first two, but there are a few more.
Okay, so I've got one here. It's and I'll just go ahead out and read the question. Is there any plan to have a financial planner in the Oakville branch? And maybe Rob, I'll let you take that one on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the question. The answer is yes. Obviously, we did, if you recall, we sent out a survey some time ago, and one of the questions were, what additional services would you like as a membership? And we did get the response that there'd be a need for a financial planner. And then, you know, as everybody knows, we do have some staff that are probably going to be coming up for retirement fairly soon. So the idea is that we do have a succession plan in place. So as soon as we get close to that, we will let everybody know, but the answer is yes, that is the plan.
Okay, thanks, Rob. I've got another question here. Can Saturday hours be reinstated immediately, as many members are returning to work are unable to attend a branch during current weekly hours?
Yeah, Dave, I can take that again.
Okay.
That kind of goes back to the first point of my messaging in terms of we are looking when we're going to be returning to normal hours. At this point, we still believe that opening on this Saturday that we've got right now, especially when we're having direct deposits, deposit anywhere opening up very soon, that at least at this point, there is no immediate plans to open up the extended hours, which was at Upper James was Saturday and Thursday in the evening. But we will be working with the board of directors to understand when we want to come back to normal operations and kind of retract what we had done before.
Thanks, Rob. And I'm finding, Rob, these questions are, a lot of them are directed obviously for you.
Yeah, do you just want me to go through them and I can answer them as we go through?
Yeah, sure. So I'm at will ability of members to ask the CEO questions, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so the next question, will the ability of members to ask the CEO questions or present concerns be reinstated as it was possible with the former CEO? The answer is yes. I believe it was mentioned it to Malcolm or something it was last time, which was basically an email. So we are going to look at doing something like that to have it available online. In the interim, I have spoken to quite a few members, either via phone or email. So if you call into our 1-800 number or 1-888 number and ask to speak to me, they'll transfer you over. I'm at extension 5001. You can also reach me if you have a question through the Solution Center, that it can come to me as well. But we will be working with our marketing people to make sure that we've got maybe a special section that just recognizes that it can come to me and we can have a question or raise concern, as you said. So that is something we'll definitely look at. The next question was, can the credit union return to the practice of providing annual rebates to members based on interest paid on loans and mortgages as was previous practice? This was and had been a major draw to attracting new members as well as retaining members from switching to other institutions offering much lower interest rates. That is something that was a past practice. And again, we will be bringing this up with the board of directors towards when we finish up the planning, the end of the year for 2020 and planning into 2021. So we will ask that question, and a direction will come from the board of directors and management on that. Next question. Can the credit union provide interest rates on personal loans which are more in line with the other competing financial institutions? Mortgage rates competitive, but loan rates are way too high in comparison. This is evident in reports for loans to members. Our members are going elsewhere for their loans. This leads to eventual loss of membership and weaker credit union. Yes, thanks for that. I mean, we have primarily been focusing on the deposit rates and the mortgage rates being probably 95 to 97% of our lending portfolio is in that category. However, we do want to take time, as you mentioned, to make sure that we are very competitive on that side, on the loan side. I appreciate that some of those loan rates, especially the unsecured side, are very, very high. So we are going to make sure that we take a look at those through the rate committee and the board of directors and balance not only the rate and what the offerings are in terms of being competitive, but also balance that with the risk associated with some of those loans. As we looked at the loan losses for 2019, they were considerably lower than they were for 2018 based on the broker business we'd done before. But historically, our losses have all been on the loan side. So it is important to recognize that there is some more significant risk with unsecured loans. But having said that, long way around, yes, we will look at that. I think the other question was more around the director, the number of directors from 7 to 5. So I think
I'll take that one, Rob. Thanks. So the question is the reduction of directors a cost-saving measure? Is this meant as a cost-saving measure or procedure for quorum? And absolutely not. I mean, it certainly has nothing to do with saving money. It's just, as I said, unfortunately, the last 3 or 4 years, you know, we do a good job of advertising, trying to find people that want to be interested to become part of the board of directors for MCU. And it's very, very difficult to find, as I said, competent, experienced people to sit on these boards. So it really has nothing to do with cost savings. It's just got to do, as I said, with experience and capability more so than anything. So I think that's maybe the last question that we've had come in. Maybe I can ask Will that, because I know Will's monitoring that.
So we just had one more come in from April Burke regarding the same reduction. What is the estimated cost savings for the deduction from 7 to 5 directors?
So I mean, Cost savings, I don't know. I think it would probably be, if I'm thinking off the top of my head, maybe about $8,000. I mean, I think I'm not sure what the actual honorarium is right now. It's an honorarium, so it's not like we're paying the board to do these jobs. But there is an honorarium that's involved. And I'm not sure, Rob, have you got the exact number? Is it about 55 or 5,600 per?
Yeah, it depends on what role they're in. I mean, as we have a chair both for the audit committee and the board itself, they would be sort of regular director roles. So it would be in that 8,000 range. But it's important to recognize that if somebody's looking for that in the financial statements, we only currently have 5 directors anyways. So it won't be that much less for 2020.
Okay, so I'm just going to wait a second to see if anybody else has got a question. So I think we're pretty good, Will?
Yep.
Okay, so just as I said, just on a closing comment, I just again would like to thank everybody for taking the time this morning to come online, and I'm going to go ahead and call adjournment. Wish everybody a great day, and I'm going to go ahead and call adjournment. Thanks everybody for attending. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great afternoon.